Welcome back to EverTalk Live. We're here with Em, and she is hot off the stage from a serious, amazing show last night. Tell us all about it.
So, yeah, we had a big comeback show. I was not performing for a while because I was sick. So we had our big comeback show, my band, Em and the Gems, last night in Santa Monica. And this was my outfit, hair, makeup, and I knew I was coming here super early. I was like, let me just go to sleep in this. I slept like so still, like I cannot move.
Yeah.
This is a fierce look. Do you do your own hair and makeup?
No, absolutely not. I have the most amazing team.
Super cool. So what inspires your looks?
So it's always different. I always like to be really wild, something quite out there and, you know, artistic. But I'm really into suits right now. It's kind of the vibe because I like to sort of dance and move in weird ways. You have to kind of see the show to get it. But I like the more androgynous look. And yeah, it's kind of just like a visual thing. When it's on the stage, it makes a difference.
When you're performing, is there any kind of like artist that you're channeling or mood or vibe?
I mean, I'm not personally choosing to channel anybody, but I always get Lady Gaga, Elton John. A mix. Those two are the kind of probably most common that people.
It's good company to keep right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining about that.
Have they also inspired you most in terms of your career itself, or have there been other folks who have inspired you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have inspiration from all over the place. Freddie Mercury I get as well, and that's definitely inspiration for me. Like, I grew up with a lot of Queen and Pink Floyd and like those British rock bands. That's big for me. But my background's so varied, you know, I was a classical pianist since I was 4 years old, so that's the whole thing, and yeah, there's a lot of inspiration.
Was there ever a point where you thought you would make a career out of classical piano? I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, it's really tough. The entire business is tough, but particularly classical music, right?
Yeah, because I started when I was 4, and I was performing internationally from the age of 5, recitals all around Europe and the UK, and that was seriously intense, and that was my career for, you know, as a child. And I did my first degree when I was like 11 years old, and it was really intense. So yeah, definitely most of my childhood, everybody else thought, oh, she's going to be a classical pianist, and I always was like,
not really. Oh, you already kind of knew that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely gave it a chance. You know, there was of course, like, there's so much of me that is drawn to it, and I love it still now, but it wasn't for me. It's not a very sociable career, you know. It requires hours and hours a day alone in a room doing the same thing on repeat, which is not really my vibe. And yeah, I don't know. But now I just do it for the love of it, which is great, instead of being forced.
Yes.
What do you love most about what you're doing now with Em and the Gems?
I mean, everything. I think we're doing something really unique that's not out there at the moment. Our style, because of my varied background, and I'm an actor as well, and I went to theatre school and stuff, it's literally like jazz, rock, pop, classical, theatre, and people are just like, what? Like, we'll be in some rock song and then it'll just break out into this like, and people are just like, what's going on? So I really enjoy just sort of messing with people and like creating something new, and it feels like, again, like a Queen, Pink Floyd, like my inspirations, they came out with something totally fresh that the record labels were like, this is never going to work, and then it did. So.
When do you feel at your creative best? Are there certain things, practices that you do that allow you to feel just totally tapped into and didn't turned on and at your creative best?
That's a really interesting question. I feel like, for me, it always comes out of an emotion or something that's going on in my life at that time. Like, I'll be, you know, if something has just happened, I'll be like, oh, I have to channel this and write this right now. But again, like I was talking earlier about hiking, actually, recently that's really been just things are just coming. Because I'm writing a lot more upbeat music right now, because my last EP that we discussed last year was obviously quite heavy and downbeat, and everything now is a lot more up. And I think being on the mountain is just like giving me these ideas.
It's interesting though, now that you're like working with higher vibes, if you will, how is that reflected in other areas of your life beyond music?
Hugely. I mean, it's really interesting actually that you asked that, because it's like my whole self has transformed. Because so my first EP that came out last year was about my experience with rape. We did an interview about it. It was it was dedicated to sexual assault survivors. All the proceeds go to charity, and that was obviously a really dark time of my life. And the album that's coming out early next year, Reborn, is much more upbeat, and it's kind of what I was just expressing, and it's all about how I regained my strength and my sexuality and my power. But the stuff we're writing now, which is even more fresh, yeah, it's literally, I kind of want it to be in 20 years, if you looked back at my discography of music, you would hear the story of my life, you know, from here to here. And that is kind of what it's becoming. And yeah, so to answer your question, I can see it in my life everywhere, and I can see it reflected in the music. The music is going like this in terms of emotion and positivity, and my life is doing that as well. And because what I'm writing about, what's really interesting is I think the people, if you have something really terrible going on in your life, you can really dwell on it, write something heavily emotional, and that's what I used to do. Now I'm finding ways to take those sad things and put humor into it, and to make it a light thing that's still addressing said issue, but is light and humorous and fun, and you can dance to it. And I think that's actually a really healing thing and an incredible thing to have achieved, because it's not just that I'm writing happy music about happy stuff, I'm still dealing with the subjects, but it's still upbeat, which I think is, I'm really happy to be acquiring that skill.
I love that. It's fascinating to me because, you know, from a, psychology, we talk a lot about, you know, when people are at their creative best. And for a long time, I know I wasn't under the impression that people are at their creative best when they're moody and they're stressed and they're anxious, and that, you know, that clearly is a myth. People are much more creative, infinitely more creative, when they're tapped into and didn't turn on, and they're enjoying their life experience overall. And so I love that you're actually experiencing that.
Yeah,
you know, now.
and channeling as well. Yeah, you can just feel that.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm so excited for all this to come. Please tell everyone where they can find and follow you.
Everywhere, all social media is the Master. Instagram is my biggest platform. I just released a live in studio video on YouTube called Get Out. So that's live in studio, Get Out. And that's from my last EP about the rape. It's a very powerful performance. I'm really proud of it. We did it in London when I was back over summer on Freddie Mercury's piano.
Oh,
so,
what?
yeah.
What an epic moment.
Really, I know. I was pretty stoked about it.
Well, thank you so much, Em. We so appreciate you.
Thanks for having me,
Stay tuned.
guys.
We'll be back with more on EverTalk Live.